All right, fans, we got to talk about some news. Who is piping hot in the portal and doing the damn thing? Who also is figuring out what their team looks like this season? Talk a little bit about NC State, a little bit about Boston College, but more about all of the spring games that happened last Saturday. Listen, it's going to be a wild season, but who's going to come out on top? Maybe you'll find out on today's show.
You are Locked On ACC, your daily podcast on the Atlantic Coast Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Kenton Gibbs is in a great mood. I'm Candace Cooper, and this is Locked On ACC as we talked about some of the best things happening in our conference. Make sure you download, subscribe to the podcast from anywhere you listen, as well as subscribe to the YouTube show. 1,000 is good, 2,000 is better. Let's keep growing and sharing with our friends all of that fun content. Kenton, they flamed you up when they came to Miami, but they should be sending you praise after your boy Kevin Keatts is finding his way in that transfer portal on the men's basketball side.
Let me explain something to you. We give our best prediction based on what we've seen in the past and what we predict in the future, okay? That's what we do here. Sorry to tell you, everybody's team won't get nice things. And don't worry, Miami fans, if you're listening to this saying, oh, nobody could get worse than he did Miami. Just you wait, my brothers and sisters and friends in Christ.
This is going to be quite the episode, so make sure you tune in for the whole experience. Thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. It's also 420, so if you roll one up and you light one, it could be one of those kind of vibes today.
I just said my friends in Christ. You talk about 420. Lord Jesus.
Hey, you don't know what Jesus was putting up back in the day. But anyway, love to talk about some spring games, a little bit of basketball, all things in between. MJ Rice is heading to NC State from Kansas. You talk about guard play. You talk about wanting to find, a Terquavion Smith lookalike identical in terms of vibe and style of play. Beyond that, you want to find someone who's going to help elevate your team. MJ Rice is certainly going to be that guy. It's good for NC State to figure things out in this way.
Yeah, well, I'd say MJ Rice has a lot more Darian Sebron in him than Terquavion Smith, because if MJ Rice get to shooting 6+ threes per game, I'm calling the police. I'm calling Raleigh PD. I want him arrested. But Candace, if I'm correct here, you are a Raleigh native, right?
I am.
It sounded like it's a parade inside your city, yeah, because there's good things going with Keatts in this transfer portal. A consensus top 3 class in the portal right now, bringing in some impactful freshmen as well. This is a NC State team that looks poised to make some noise next year. And, Lord knows that they needed the help after Filipowski announced that he's coming back. Obviously, like I said, Jeremy Roach is going to be back. Looking at what you have is in terms of, UNC returning a lot of players and maybe possibly doing addition by subtraction and losing Caleb Love and getting some more players out of the portal. A revamped Louisville. There's a lot of teams that are going to be a lot better this year. Obviously, Florida State, just by having guys who were hurt all year last year come back. There is a lot of revamping going on around the conference. Virginia, who is always Virginia. This is, you can't, if you're not getting better, you're getting worse. And Coach Keatts and the Pack got better this week.
So has the seat simmered down since Keatts has shown proven ability, guys who are committing to NC State and actually plan to be there?
I've said this. I said this last year toward the end of the season, and I say it right now. The reality is, until you win the whole thing, the seat is never that cool. Until you go deep in the tournament, and even then, the seat is never that cool. So, I'm right there with all of Wolfpack Nation, celebrating, making memes, doing all the things and all that. But the reality is simple. Yeah. When it comes down to that, when that tip-off happens, all the way through the final horn of all of these games come next fall, winter, and spring, that's what's going to matter. That's where it's going to be whether or not Keatts' seat is cooled down. And I'll tell you this, with the players that he's bringing in, recruiting is great. You still got to win ball games, and you have to show up into the right trajectory. You can't just say, Well, we were on the cusp of making the tournament next year after having a team that most people would say is more talented than last year's. You can't just say, well, we almost made the tournament after you just had a tournament team. You can't have a team that makes the tournament, doesn't win a game, but everybody sees that season as success as well. That just ain't how it works.
So I think that a couple things out of this, right? I think DJ Burns had a hell of a season, and being a transfer that actually improved during his time certainly helped elevate NC State's opportunities, and guys who said, did an extra look, maybe cocked their head and had some interest. I also think that when you look at the blue bloods that they have in the triangle, it's very interesting how they are especially with transfer portal being what it is now, people can go anywhere. It's very interesting that nobody's running to. Duke doesn't have that many opportunities for people to run to, but from a North Carolina lens, I'd rather go to NC State than North Carolina. Like that's something to keep an eye on if I was, doing my due diligence as a Triangle sports coverage host.
I'll tell you this. When it comes to that recruiting trail, or as they like to say, winning over mom and pops, when it comes to winning the battle of sitting in their living room, Coach Keatts is one of the best out. And the reality is very simple. Again, he has the one thing that is more valuable than anything, or he had the one thing that was more valuable than anything going into this year's portal. Not just playing time, because a lot of teams got playing time. He had shots, lots and lots of shooting opportunities available for a ton of players. And so, you look at Jarkel Joyner and Jaquavian Smith, and I believe they shot nearly 25 shots per game between both of them.
Yeah.
That's a lot of attempts, not even just attempts, just opportunities to where you're going to be the guy with the ball in your hand that are leaving. And so,
1,000%. I think a guy that comes from Kansas, right? Not a scrub program. You look at, where North Carolina is recruiting. Again, I say just keep an eye out, because when you start talking about people's seats being warm and just what they're able to bring in, the lure of what used to be a blue blood isn't what it used to be. I think opportunities are available for all, and who wants to go be a fun team? NC State was certainly a fun team last season. Who's going to improve? Who's going to get the shots? Who's not going to deal with all the drama that comes with sometimes the toxicity that is their fandom? NC State, I think them fans could be buck wild crazy. That's another story for another day. However, if you just look in the totality of programs, it's starting to look better and better for some of the people that haven't gotten all the looks in past.
Oh, absolutely. And on top of that, you look at some of the things that went down within the team dynamics, which are like, yeesh, that's a tough break to hear about. But this is a situation where, is it surprising that players aren't there? Not really, given the fact that this is happening all around college basketball. Look at all of the traditional powers in college basketball. And who would you look at right now that you're saying, like, yeah, they've been a blue blood for forever and a day, and they're still doing great things? Who would that be? You know what I mean? Who would you look at and say, hey, they've been great since the 60s, 70s, 50s, and they're still seeing that prosperity roll through right now. There are very few programs. So with that being said, this all ebbs and flows, and it just seems like it's the Wolfpack's time to be on top of that ebb after 40-something years of being in the underclass of it.
Hey, there's no time like the present. Let's talk a little bit more about some surprising turns to seasons and what we can expect going into 2023, 2024. But first, something exciting is coming to Built.com on April 22nd, 3 days away. I don't have all the details yet, but the excitement is real, and it's something you won't want to miss. If you know how Built works, they have the most incredible protein bars in the world, and they do these amazing flavor drops with unreal flavors in limited quantity. So mark your calendars and head to Built.com on Saturday, April 22nd to be one of the first to discover what all the hype is about. I can't wait to see what this new flavor is. Make sure you use promo code LOCKEDON15 and you'll get 15% off your order. Talking to Kenton Gibbs here. We're rocking and rolling. We're figuring out just what 2023 will bring for both basketball and football, but switching gears over to the gridiron here. Boston College was a team that had their spring game this past weekend. There's a lot to be said about what this team is and can potentially do going into 2023, 2024. There's a lot of pressure on Coach Hafley in the past couple of years. He has been given high praise for just how good he is about talking and how he's overcome so many obstacles with Phil Jurkovec's health, with COVID, all of the things that we extended grace to him for. Now, not so much. It's sort of putting feet to the fire in terms of put up or shut up. I need to see at least 6 to 7 wins.
Well, I think this team could get 6. I think 6 or 7 is possible because
a bowl is necessity this year.
They have, they say that a friendly schedule always helps out a struggling coach. This schedule here is as friendly as it comes. I mean, this schedule didn't listen when they said don't talk to strangers. This here schedule is an extrovert to the highest degree. It wants to talk to everybody because, I mean, objectively speaking,
it's a cupcake schedule.
If they can't get 6 out of this schedule, Hafley, you deserve to be fired, brother. You deserve to be fired.
That's really intense. Well, do you think, regardless of how this season goes, this is Hafley's last year? Before we get into the schedule.
Well, no, there is never a situation where, regardless of the situation, this is a coach's last year. Because obviously, if you do something crazy, like you go out there and win 10 games, you can't fire a coach that won 10 games at Boston College. You cannot do that. You cannot. That is not possible. 6 games, sure. 7 games, you're getting in dangerous territory. 8, all right, what happened? Why, with this schedule, I mean, the 8 could be, but even then, you wouldn't want to fire a coach after 8 wins. But with this schedule, it's not beyond the realm of possibility for them to pull off 6 or 7. As a matter of fact, it's more so a necessity. Like, he needs 6 minimum.
Yeah, let's talk about the team of past. They had Zay Flowers, who is going to hear his name called when it comes to playing on Sundays in the 2023 NFL draft. He certainly has been a dynamic player. I just spent time on Locked On Texans talking about just how good Zay is. So make sure you guys go check that out with my guy, Cody Davis. Now, we also have the fact that losing Zay has his ups and downs, but losing your quarterback, who some argued was the best in the ACC, if not one of the best, if not the best quarterbacks in the ACC, Phil Jurkovec, going to an ACC rival at Pitt. It's very interesting now that you have Emmett Moorehead at the helm. You have a team that's pretty young, but they got some halfway decent transfers, and it's really up in the air about what they could be in spite of this cupcake schedule.
First of all,
oh God,
they're going to be what they're going to be because of the cupcake schedule. Now, let's get that out the way. They need to, you need to milk this schedule for everything that's work, baby.
Nice, and you can't help yourself.
But let me be nice. Let me return your kindness. Let me return your kindness with a kindness, right?
Please.
I like Emmett Moorehead's game a lot. I really do.
You genuinely said it off mic, so I know that to be true.
I really do. He has a big arm. He is not afraid to make the throws outside the number. He will stand in there and take a hit, and he'll take off when need be. He's only been playing football for a few years, so his trajectory could be crazy. The potential is there for him to, again, lead this team on something crazy. And with this schedule, it kind of needs to happen. But with that being said, I don't think they do something crazy. I think they get their 6.
You think they get bowl eligible, and that's
I think they get their bowl eligible. Don't ask for nothing else.
Bowl eligibility.
They'll get their bowl eligibility. Don't ask them for nothing else. Get somebody else to do it. Anything beyond bowl eligibility, get somebody else to do it.
All right, well, we had enough hype built around this schedule, so let's go into it. On September 2nd, Boston College will face off against Northern Illinois, a dub.
That is a 3-9 MAC team. Better be a dub.
Okay. We don't even have to go too much into it because you can just give me the better be a dubs. Okay.
Better be a dub. Yeah.
September 9th, Holy Cross.
Another one. Better be a dub. If you lose those 2 games, don't worry about it, brother. Do not worry about it. You don't
charter the jet. Get the PJ.
Oh, no. Both of those games are at home. Those are pay games, which means they're paying these teams to come in and lose by 80. So if one of those teams
didn't they struggle against Colgate last season? They lost to Colgate. Okay.
And this is why I'm saying you have to win these games. Because if you sit up here and have one of those teams saying, and one more thing, tell them, bring me my money, you're going to have some problems, brother. You're going to have some problems, Mr. Hafley.
Oh, Oh, my Lord. All right, September 16th, they face off against Florida State.
First L of the year. First L of the year. Yeah. I think that's a safe one. I mean, again, I don't think that Florida State is as good as they would, that looking at the end of their season last year would imply, but I think that they're good enough to handle this Boston College team.
Beat the brakes off Florida State.
The better Maroon wins this game. Yeah.
Not the better Maroon. All right, they go on their first road trip at Louisville.
I think they lose another one here. I think they lose this one close. I think they lose that one close. And
who is the quarterback of Louisville that you give confidence in over Emmett Moorehead? Oh, Lord, did we lose him? Did we lose him, ladies and gentlemen? I feel like already he's trying to just get us in a position to feel uncomfortable.
It's not the quarterback, just the quarterback position I feel confident about. In college football, you can kind of get away with not having that quarterback question answered if the rest of your team is good enough.
No, sir.
I think that this Boston College team, again, so you tell me, where are you looking at this Boston College team saying they're good in this area? Where?
I'd
say that their receiving core showed this last year toward the end of the year. And Moorehead, again, I like his game.
Offensive line got a year older. Got some transfers.
But a year older don't always mean better.
Okay.
But you
asked me a question.
It's not in the recipe sometimes. Okay, that's fine. That's what, again, if that offensive line improves drastically, yes, I can see them winning this Louisville game. If not,
okay.
And I don't think they got drastically better. I think they got a little better. I think they should be better. I don't think they'll be drastically better. I think that Louisville takes a close one.
Okay. Now, they have Virginia at home on September 30th.
Now, listen, this stretch here, and I know that this is a long stretch, so don't say, oh, duh, every game through there is important. Virginia through Virginia Tech, that whole stretch there.
That whole stretch seems to be something serious because Kenton keeps going in and out today, which is kind of crazy. But hearing him on September 30th trying to figure out what's going to go down.
I don't know why I keep getting kicked out here. But anyway, that whole stretch there is going to be pivotal to determining whether or not Hafley is somebody's defensive coordinator next year or whether or not he's still at Boston College. Because, that stretch in there is going to be important. It's going to be real important for this team to get some W's here.
Do they beat Virginia or no?
Yes, they take care of a bad Virginia team. Yes.
All right, they go to Army.
I don't see them beating Army.
Okay, so we have three wins right now.
I think one of the best things they do is rush the passer, and I don't think that they're going to be that stout at stopping the run. And when you play those triple option teams, especially, that's a tough order there.
Don't touch your mouse, please. All right, they have a nice little bye week.
Worry about
They have a nice bye week, and then they go off and play Georgia Tech in Atlanta.
And again, this is why I said this stretch is going to be vital because they should handle Georgia Tech. They should. Keyword there.
It's a Georgia Tech team with the coach in year 2 and Hafley in year 4, 5.
They should handle this team. They should. I don't want to guarantee anything for anybody, but they should win this game handily.
Okay, so that's 5 wins. UConn at home.
I know they're going to want their get back. I know they're going to want it. I don't know if they get it. I don't know if they get it.
Late October, I would hope the team is established by then. Moorehead has found his groove.
Because this is the UConn team that got better and better as the season went on. They got better and better. I want you to think about this. Last year, Boston College beat NC State, right? NC State beat UConn by 50-some-odd points in the beginning of the season.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that team just got better and better and better. They got beat by NC State by 50. They ended up beating Boston College. This is a Boston College team that I'm not sure if they get that win against UConn. I'm not sure.
All right, so we got our last 4 games here of the season at Syracuse.
They should get this win. And that's why I said that this stretch
is an important game for both. No, that wasn't in your this is an important game for both.
Yeah.
Because Babers could be looking for a new home and Hafley could be looking for a new home after this game.
I wouldn't be surprised if both of them are looking for a new home at the end of the season. But this particular game, I think that the Fighting Jeff Hafleys get it done. Because when I look at Syracuse, I mean, it's so much production leaving.
So if for those who are listening new and don't know, every time we have a struggling program, we always say free our dog, whoever is being that outstanding player that's holding on. Whenever we have a coach who is probably fighting for his job, and sometimes teams get upsets, we call them the Fighting Hafleys, the Fighting Satterfields, the Fighting Babers. We want the team to kind of hold on for said coach, or they figure out a way to win because they're playing for coach. So just for context, that's what it means. And it's very interesting that Kenton already has them to be the Fighting Hafleys.
Oh, absolutely. I don't know why that would be a surprise to anybody. Like, I think
I'm just trying to educate the audience.
Yeah, I think that shouldn't be a surprise to anybody. I don't think anybody should look up and say, wait, what? Like, they're going to be competing and fighting for their coach's life at this point? Yes, very much so. Yes.
So Virginia Tech is at home November 11th. Both teams kind of shaky. It's another battle of the maroon. What you think this one will be like?
And I'm sorry, which team is at home here?
This will be Boston College at home.
Okay, Boston College is at home. They say that home gives you a 3-point advantage, which means I'll give a nod to Boston College here. Boston College.
November 16th, they face off at Pitt.
No, wait, that's their 6th win, right? That would be their 6th win against
You Virginia said they're going to beat Syracuse.
Okay. Yeah, so that would be 6, right? Yeah, I don't see them beating Pitt. I don't see that happening. Oh.
Okay. And then Miami on November 24th.
No. That's Miami senior night, ain't it?
It's at home. It's
okay. So it's Boston College's senior night. Yeah. Sorry, seniors. Sorry.
You can't even name them seniors. So that's how that finna go.
Tough time. Yeah. Hey, it's been real. It's been fun. It ain't been real fun. Sorry, seniors. But I think they get their 6th, and I think that that's not their last game. They have an opportunity to go win the 7th in a bowl game.
And if you get 7 wins for Jeff Hafley, do you see that as a massive improvement, something worth keeping around?
Yeah, 7 wins. I mean,
you got to put it in perspective again about who Boston College is.
You got to add context. You got to add. It's not just about who Boston College is. This is not a year that people are looking at this team and saying they should win 8, 9, 10 games. Like, at the end of the day, I think most people are not going to be as high on them as I am. I think most people are not going to say, hey, pencil them in for 6 wins. That's my personal opinion. Maybe I'm wrong there. I don't think most people will do so. But I think that they can, again, I like their young receivers a lot. I like Moorehead a lot. I think that if that offensive line gets better, not massively, but just better, not saying good, just like slightly below average, they'll be all right. Last year, they were god awful. That offensive line, I mean, me and you could go out there and get us a couple sacks against them. You know what I mean? So the reality is, if they're better, they got a shot in a lot of these games.
I think they're going to get 5 to 6 wins. I think they're going to feel the heat and loss of Phil Jurkovec. I think they're going to feel the loss of Zay Flowers. I think they're going to feel the loss of Josh DeBerry on that secondary. My only saving grace is that you could tell the offensive line didn't mess with Phil like that. Like, at some point, it was personal. Yeah. So maybe they F with Emmett a little more, and they might block him a little bit better. That's my only, 6 or 7. I can see the fence of that. But I think you keep Coach around for 6, but it has to be 6. If they don't get to a bowl, it's a wrap.
But, and again, this is why I say it's not in spite of this schedule. It's because of this schedule. Because if you don't get 6 wins, right, that means that you would have to lose to either a Northern Illinois, a Holy Cross, a Georgia Tech, a UConn, a Syracuse, or a Virginia Tech. Multiple of those teams. Like, that's the reality. You would very seriously have to lose to multiple of those teams because, again, some of those teams that we're looking at here, we can go ahead and book that as an L. So you would also have to lose to those teams, which is like,
and to me, Georgia Tech and Syracuse is sort of like a crapshoot. F around and have an amazingly good season, then you're like, where the heck did that come from?
Yeah. And you could live with losing to one of those teams if they have an amazing season. The chances of both of those teams having amazing seasons.
Yeah, it's gonna be a little tough.
Come on now.
It's gonna be a little ticky tacky. So
losing your starting quarterback, starting running back, and offensive coordinator. Come on. What do we?
100%.
Let's stop this. You know what I mean?
There's some growth opportunities for the Eagles. They're going to need it. I think Hafley has put himself in a position to where the scrutiny can start. Like, I think of course, people already feel a way about him, but it's going to be very much severe. And like, are you actually the guy to lead? Is your eyesight on like other positions, maybe other coaching jobs, maybe in the NFL? But if your focus is not on these guys going to the season and really developing Moorehead, I think we start to question some things here a bit.
It don't matter what his eyes on. It matter about, in the words of Eric Bieniemy, this is not a game about numbers. It's about the alphabets. And the only alphabets that matter is W or L. 100%. It don't matter. It don't matter what he does. People said that James Franklin up at Penn State had his eye in other places. You know why they keep bringing him back? And boys keep winning 9-10 games a year. I mean, what are you gonna do?
Hafley could be like Bieniemy and nobody want him, but there's a whole lot going on.
Somebody want him because he got a head coaching job now. So somebody want him enough.
Who got a head coaching job somewhere?
I'm saying Hafley.
Somebody like what Bieniemy you talking about?
No. Bieniemy, that's a whole nother story for another time. But Hafley got a head coaching job now, so somebody liked him enough. So it's about
it's Boston College, like.
But I mean, Boston College has had their ups and downs, but for the most part, they have been middle of the road or better. Like, they have not been for long periods of time like the whipping boys of the ACC. Even with Adazio, even though those teams weren't going to win you 12 games, or you weren't thinking like, oh, this is an ACC championship team, they were physical, they were tough, they were nasty. You knew that you might come away with a win, but boy, you was going to need that ice bath. They were going to line up with 7 offensive linemen and a running back that had thighs so big he couldn't wear jeans. And next thing you know, you were going to come out of that game like, oh, we won? Yay, I can't lift my arm all the way, but yay, we did it. Sure. So
100%. Your team saw that full well last season. Well, as much as Boston College is in the middle of the road, let's hope Coach Hafley doesn't see the end of the road during his time with the Eagles in 2023. So if you want to hear all about all of our college football action, make sure you download, subscribe to the pod. You can listen to Locked On College Basketball if you want to get more of that MJ Rice scoop and all the things. Listen to all of our shows here, Locked On College, Locked On Podcast Network. We have a lot of college channels, always looking for some ACC hosts. So shameless plug. If you want to be a host around the ACC, we got a couple of schools that are in desperate need: Virginia Tech, Wake Forest, Clemson off the top. Make sure you hit me up at Candace E. Cooper. Let me know of your interest. I'm happy to always plug you in. It has been a pleasure with my guy, Kenton Gibbs, per usual. Fellas, until next time.